Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, you know who it is. And it's time for, turn up the lights, it's time for our weekly track roundup, where I go over what I felt were the best and worst tracks of the week. Yeah, we do that. It's a thing. It's a weekly thing. And, of course, before I do that, I have to shout out our sponsor for this video. Thank you to the good people over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek, if you did not know, is an app that aggregates tickets from live events all over the web to make ticket buying simple. They put a 1 to 100 score on each ticket to let you know if you're getting a good deal or a bad deal, whether or not the price for the ticket for the seat is good. They show a green being good deal, a red being bad deal, the sort of color-coded to make it easy. They also have an in-app view from Seat to let you know where you're going to be sitting, what it's going to look like from where you're sitting, and enter code DROP at checkout to get a $20 discount on your first order with SeatGeek. Again, thank you. Information down there in the description. And there you go. There you go. All right, let's get into it. Let's get right into our weekly track roundup. Our Amazon and Turntable Lab links are down there in the description also if you are interested. I want to give a shout out to this new Graham Lambkin project, which Austin did a little write-up for on the site. You can stream that via the link below. This and all the other music we're going to be talking about in this episode is linked in the description box, as usual, along with a new reimagined track from Will Toledo of Seat Headrest, apparently via Matador Records this year. He's going to be coming out with a sort of newly recorded, newly sort of revised version of his legendary Bandcamp record, Twin Fantasy, which if you're familiar with Will's work, or if you're not rather, is a very lo-fi record. It's a very rough record to the point where it didn't even really truly appeal to me. I like his, I guess, sort of better recorded material, his latest stuff. But I have loved what I've been hearing so far of this reimagined version of Twin Fantasy. So I'm pretty excited, pretty hype to hear this new record. So again, those are linked down below. All right, let's get into the worst tracks this week. Let's get into the worst tracks. Let's get into them. Ugh. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Do you feel the world darkening? It's happening. It's happening, guys. Ugh. I don't know how this is happening, but yes, Shaggy and Sting are coming out with a collaborative album this year. It's like coming out on 4/20 of all dates. And don't make me both of them are phoning it in so hard. It's like the worst pop reggae I've heard in a long time. It's pretty bad. It's pretty horrendous. Do not know why this is happening. I'm just noticing now. That's a nice SG though. Good on Sting. Good on Sting for that nice ass SG. Is that a Jeep? What are they doing? What are they doing? It's not a good song. It's a very cheap pop reggae tune. I throw it out the window. I really do toss it out the window. Beck came out with a super boring and bland cover of the Velvet Underground's "I'm Waiting for the Man." Yeah, it's pretty lifeless and not interesting at all, and is very much in line with with the music Beck has been making on his past couple of records. Oh, dude. He's just so off the mark. I don't know what to say. Moving on from there, A$AP Rocky came out with a few horrible tracks this week too, Above and 5 Stars. I'm hoping that this is not the A$AP Rocky that we're going to be hearing on this new record. I hope these are just taster tracks. They came out with a freestyle this week too. That given how horrible these tracks were, I didn't even try it, honestly. I didn't even try it because these songs were bad enough. Like, the flows are awful. Dram was on one of the tracks too, though he did not save it at all. And the hooks weren't really there. I have no idea where A$AP Rocky's head is at. Seems like since he dropped his big breakthrough mixtape and he dropped his big breakthrough commercial record, which had some amazing radio hits on it, had some amazing radio hits on it. Dude cannot write a hit. Dude cannot write a hit. And I'm just, why? I don't even care at this point. Hire a ghostwriter. Just as long as a good song ends up coming out of it. Hire anybody, you know? Have somebody else rap for you. Just as long as the song is good. Do anything at this point. Instead of this like bland, forgettable trite. but whatever. And finally, another cover that disappointed me from the upcoming I Only Listened to the Mountain Goats compilation record, where it's basically a series of artists just covering Mountain Goat songs. This one covered by Amanda Palmer. She really overdoes it. She really does overdo it. I really don't know what to say about this track other than that. She just overdoes it. She overacts it to the point where it's annoying. And that's basically it. It really doesn't need any more explanation beyond that. It sounds like a version of the Mountain Goat song, frickin' The Mess Inside, as performed by the most annoying girl in drama class is what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. Let's move on to the tracks I thought were okay. Wasn't crazy about him. Didn't love him. Wasn't head over heels for him, but still wanted to give him a mention. They're linked down there below. New Young Thug track featuring Shad the God and Trouble. This one came out on Martin Luther King Day, although I did miss it. It's a bit of a banger. Nice, ritzy, sweet little piano melodies coming out of this track. Thugger's vocal melody on the track is quite sweet too. Not one of his more memorable tracks in my opinion, but definitely one of his sweeter cuts in a while. Culture 2, Migos' new record. I'm going to be talking about it very soon. Supastars is kind of the big lead single from this thing, aside from Motorsports. You know, that's been out a while now, but kind of one of the bigger, more recent promotional singles. The song Supastars. It sort of sounds like Migos kind of phoning it in my opinion. Don't get really what makes the song special in terms of the instrumental, the flows, the lyrics. Really nothing about the song stands out to my ears. I'm kind of disappointed because it seems like so far Migos are not really crafting hits this time around. It seems like they're kind of delivering us a glorified mixtape of sorts, but I guess you'll hear more on that when I actually do the Culture 2 review. Moving on from there, a new track from the band Hop Along, whose last record I loved. I thought there was like some really strong guitar work on that record, some amazing vocal work as well. Quite a bit of virtuosity packed into the band's very anxious brand of indie rock. However, this new track of theirs, How Simple, it's okay. Seemed like kind of a milder version of what I've enjoyed before from the band. Not quite seeing the excitement and hype, but I guess I still am looking forward to their next album. Just hoping that there's a bit more excitement coming down the pipe, I guess. New Franz Ferdinand track, this one titled Lazy Boy. It's all right. You know, it's funky and it's sort of awkward, a lot like the last single the band dropped recently. But you know, it's some decent dancey indie rock music. I guess I just wish it was a little less awkward, but that's all. It's got a decent groove. And finally, Alice Glass musically responding to the controversy coming out of Crystal Castles right now with her accusations against Ethan Cath, who has said that he has taken steps toward legal action against her. Alice has publicly said that she's ready to take the stand if need be with her sexual assault allegations against him in a court setting. And now I guess as this is all unfolding, she has dropped this cease and desist track. It's pretty intense. I found the mixing and the hook to be a little off, but still it's really like a strong show of aggression and passion, and it's interesting to sort of see Alice, I guess, kind of playing out a lot of these emotions that I'm sure she's going through during this time in this track right now at this very moment. Again, I'm sure there are elements about the track that, while they are very rough around the edges and kind of off to me, I'm sure that's as a result of just, I got to get this track together now because this is just a raw display of my feelings at this moment. So I guess walk into this thing expecting it to be a little rough around the edges, given the speed with which he probably got it together. But still, it's a very intense listen. And let's move on to the tracks I thought were the best ones this week, starting off with Julian Casablancas and the Voidz, that are now being referred to just simply as the Voidz. They dropped a couple tracks very recently, the song Leave It In My Dreams and QYURRYUS, both of which, to my ears, sounded like I don't know, like slightly more experimental versions of the Strokes to a degree. Maybe not so much Curious. The electronics on that song and the noise element on that song was like kind of crazy and off the wall. But still, very much Leave It in My Dreams just kind of sounded like an odder, slightly weirder Strokes, but actually kind of cool and interesting and catchy. I'm liking what the band is doing. I'm excited for their next record. If you guys remembered, I really enjoyed the last Voidz album quite a bit. I thought there were a lot of great moments on it. I loved how abrasive and off the wall and bold it was. I liked a lot of the songwriting on the record too. I think the Voidz have a future. You know, I think the Voidz have a lot going for them right now, musically, sonically, just creatively in terms of talent as well. So I'm just kind of hoping that the Voidz continue to go up from here, and that all the things that I've been enjoying in the past about the Strokes' best records just kind of manifest themselves on this new album, but with some new experimental, adventurous, bold, and maybe slightly challenging bits. Moving on from there, Lil Wayne, Dedication 6 Reloaded. Dude is coming out with a new mixtape very soon, whose lead singles have been getting me pretty hype. Like, this literally sounds like we are... It's like we're going back to Lil Wayne mixtape era in his prime point in time. It's like we're going back to 03, 04, 05 Lil Wayne. You know, we're going back to 06, 07 Lil Wayne. Like, it's pretty surprising. The songs, of course, I'm talking about are the tracks Bloody Mary with Juelz Santana, who sounds a little awkward on the track, but still, like, Wayne's flow on this song is awesome, as well as on the track Big Bad Wolf. Like, instrumentally, they're both bangers, but it's really Wayne's smart, witty, tongue-in-cheek one-liners and wordplay and double entendres, and just his energy on these tracks. I don't know what it is. You know, I mean, I've been hearing mixed signals from the media on where he is mentally, where his health is at. But as far as the music goes that I'm hearing right now, I mean, he sounds on the fucking ball. You know, he sounds on the ball. He sounds like he's really focused. It sounds like he's putting together some amazing performances on these tracks. And it sounds like he's about to drop one of his most fire tapes in a long time, and one of his most fire projects in a long time, because as many of you guys know, the albums have been pretty lackluster for a while now. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm kind of crossing my fingers here and hoping that this tape, the deep cuts, are just as good, if not better, than these teaser tracks. Moving on from there, really enjoyed this new single from one of the most highly anticipated, for me personally, collaborative albums this year, Jean Grae and Quelle. Apparently the two of them, like, they're together, and they got like engaged last year or something. I didn't even know that. If you didn't know, Quelle dropped one of my favorite records last year. Jean Grae, I've been waiting for her to drop something more sizable since, like, her last couple of mixtapes in 2011 and 2012, and you know, I feel like she's an incredibly talented vocalist and lyricist. She's got a great flow, great pen game. If there's one rapper out there who I'm disappointed I don't hear more from, it's Jean Grae. And it's just amazing that all of a sudden, out of the blue, here she is, collaborative album with one of my favorite rappers in the underground right now, one of the best records of 2017, one of the best rap records of 2017. And I don't know, I'm just psyched to hear what they have to offer, especially given this debut single, OhSh, is really good and features a verse from Hannibal Buress, which goes over really well. And like the features on this thing, even Nick Offerman of Parks and Rec fame is on this thing. Like, I don't know. I'm just really excited. The feature list is fantastic. The album cover is amazing. These two are incredibly talented and have totally idiosyncratic styles that I cannot wait to hear all the ways in which they're able to kind of work that together on this forthcoming album. So, and it's going to be coming out via Mellow Music Group, of course, so be on the lookout for that this year. I'll keep you guys updated. And of course, you will see a review. Moving on from there, another track I like this week, surprisingly, is the new Jack White song, this song being titled Corporation. And this track, adds to my theory, adds to my assumptions that this next record for Jack, it's essentially going to be his electronic album. It's going to be Jack's electronic album. Prepare for that mentally. It's going to be Jack's electronic album, okay? It's going to be his electronic record. However, this is the first track sort of in that style that I really enjoy. And when I say Jack White is doing an electronic record, it's not like he's going IDM or anything like that. Obviously, the guitar is still playing a huge role, but it sounds like the way the rhythm section and the guitars, the bass, especially the percussion, the way it's being edited and sequenced, it seems like we're hearing a lot of loops or something, or a lot of sequences, a lot of electronically sequenced pieces of percussion or something. There's something like very tight and precise about it, and danceable and somewhat funky, like a lot funkier than a lot of Jack's usual repertoire. But actually, this one is pretty incredible. Like, the grooves are fantastic. I feel like there are a lot of creative production choices on this track, and the song, for the most part, is very instrumental. And some of the grooves on here kind of reminds me of like an old Meters song, like an old Southern funk tune. And I don't know what to say about the track beyond that. Again, if you're not familiar with the Meters, definitely look them up, because I feel like they're kind of a prime influence on this track. Some of the grooves on this thing specifically felt like very much indebted to them. Moving on from there, last track I'm going to mention is the new Dabrye song. He's going to be coming out with a new project very soon. Very underrated underground producer. And of all people, he landed MF Doom on this new single of his, the song being titled Lil Mufukuz. And Doom's performance on the track is actually incredible. The beat is fantastic. Very experimental, very textured, very spacey and strange, just like I've expected from him up until this point with previous releases, one of which I want to recommend to you guys before I duck out here, because he is very good. And it's sad we haven't heard more from him up until this point. I'm hoping that this MF Doom song kind of gets things rolling a little bit. Yes, Dabrye has a project out that goes by the name of 2/3, which in my opinion is a very good, very underrated project. Dropped in 2006. God, it's been that long. Came out on Ghostly. 2/3. Came out on Ghostly. And this new record of his is going to be titled 3/3. So this is literally the follow-up. That record came out in 2006. So it's like over 10 years later. And I feel like there are some people at this point who are just like, who the hell is this guy? Like, this guy's been around a while. And, it's crazy that he hasn't dropped more records under this name. Though it seems like he had a few singles out last year that sort of flew under the radar for me, which is unfortunate, but again, I guess it makes me all the more excited that he's probably really kind of building up to the release of this album. He's not going anywhere. Seems like this thing is coming out in February. So be on the lookout for that. And one more track I wanted to mention before I totally ducked out of here was that James Blake, Mr. James Blake, has dropped a new track titled If the Car Beside You Moves Ahead. Just looks like a kind of standalone lone wolf single over here. I haven't heard an announcement of an album release or anything like that just yet. However, this new song over here, to my ears, is one of his best he's put out in a long time. Seems like he's kind of going back to his experimental roots a little bit, to his earlier, weirder EPs that had a bit more of an abstract, a bit more of a classic dubstep influence. And I'm liking it a lot. There's some insane, very futuristic and strange vocal edits all over this track, too. This has been the weekly track roundup. I love you, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Hope you got some good recommendations out of this one. And Anthony Fantano, I'm out of here forever.